I grew up in a religious atmosphere as a child. I had an Orthodox bar mitzvah. There was always an unspoken quality of faith in the household. And I think probably from a very young age, I had an instinct that there was reality in the extra-physical. I had occasional experiences myself involving things like prayer or astrology or tarot readings. And I suppose that my chief interest was in discovering how some of this ancient material had endured across centuries and even millennia. The Neanderthals themselves, quite literally, had their own system of spirituality. They had talismans, they had figurines, they had devotional practices and paintings, and we're talking about the most primeval origins of humanity. So this is obviously something that goes far beyond what we today would call credulity. It's baked into the human experience. There's a convergence today between the question of UFOs and the question of extra-physical experience. When I was growing up, the outlook on UFOs, if one took seriously the UFO thesis, was, well, maybe they're ET craft, and what would it take for some kind of mechanical vehicle to span such distances? But in the past few decades, I would say that the thesis around UFO phenomena, if one takes seriously that it's something that goes outside of ordinary observation, is that these experiences might be from different intersections of time or different dimensions, which when first said sounds very, very far out. But we've known since the age of Einstein that time is conditional, that one has to logically account for the existence of an infinitude of simultaneous events. People will talk about cosmic wormholes, whereby you introduce some exotic matter into a mix of events and you're able to bend space-time. These are all just conceptual models, but it seems to me that the concepts are better developed around interdimensionality than they are around extraterrestriality, which doesn't mean that only one thing is happening. There could be a whole complexity of things that are occurring. The fact is, if we are experiencing evidence from academic psychical research, ESP research, that the psyche is capable of receiving and transmitting information in anomalous ways that may indicate the capacity of the psyche to travel among different intersections of time from which that information presumably emanates. That is possibly parallel to exactly what's going on when people report UFO encounters or abduction experiences. So part of the complexity of human nature is that we are all conditioned to think in terms of magic bullet theories behind events, as though to say there's just one antecedent, and if we can find that, we'll get to the truth. Whereas there's probably a complexity of antecedents. It may be that all of these experiences, whether it's a UFO encounter, whether it's so-called poltergeist activity, whether it's a near-death experience, are reflections, are snapshots in a certain sense of this extra physical field in which the psyche participates. From my perspective, it's a very exciting time because we're experiencing not only the mainstreaming of the UFO thesis, but the conversation around UFOs and the conversation around the psychical or the extra-physical are starting to converge. And that's a hallmark of our time.